Hey, I'm Jade Keogh.
And hello from me too, I'm Grace Seeley.
We both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
I'll say that again.
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
In your email, say who you want to sponsor and we'll get back to you with the sponsorship details and what to do next.
This is all you have to do and it will help us to get back to where we belong. Thank you, guys.
Now, enjoy our Millwall fan show from No One Likes Us talking team.
Come on, Mir.
Hi, Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Welcome to the 2022-23 series of Millwall No One Likes Us Talking, our Millwall fan show. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Stan Godwin, George Lampy and Ted Robinson.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Right, during the World Cup, we're going to be doing a shorter show. We only have one guest this evening, but I think you'll like him. Anyway, let's say hi, Stan. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing okay, Gal, and yourself?
Yeah, very well. George, how are you?
Yeah, not bad at all, mate. Not
good.
Bad.
And of course, Ted, how you doing, mate?
Evening, Gary. How are we doing? We're all right, aren't we?
Yeah, we're all right. We're all right. I suppose we better talk about it. Last weekend, we had the trip north to the Stadium of Light to play Sunderland. Unfortunately, the result didn't go our way. But I will say, and I think I've mentioned it, a few of you thought I already said it, and I'm glad Pat's not in here because she was coming, but she got replaced because she'd have got a very, very different comment to what we're about to talk about right now. I thought we played well. And I think if we score up just before half-time or even before that with Bradshaw's header, we go on to win the game quite comfortably. You could hear the commentators waxing lyrical about us, but we just got caught cold, I think. The first game back, it was like Nottingham Forest all over again, wasn't it? And having that gap didn't help us. So, Stan, what was your thoughts on the game, mate?
Well, as it happens, I don't disagree too much with what you're saying. The only thing I would say is that really, if you look at it in retrospect, it was a game of two halves. I know that sounds strange, but what I'm saying is
we used to say the same.
Yeah, we were the best. We were the best team in the first half, and then in the second half, I mean, it has to be said, I think Sunderland was slightly better. Now, whether it's worth 3 goals or not, well, that's debatable. My view is it wasn't, but. You know, it's in the first half. It's all about small margins and what ifs and all that sort of thing. And you know, had we have scored first, I think we'd have gone on to win the game quite comfortably. But that wasn't to be. And you know, we have to move on, don't we? So what's important now is the game on Saturday. Definitely. That's what's important.
George, do you think the same?
Yeah, I do actually. I thought we were easily the best team in the first half, and I actually thought we were just about the best team throughout the game. I mean, I know Stan's right. They certainly they got the goals in the second half, and they did well. But I think the best team lost that match, to be honest. And I was quite happy with the way we played. The one thing I will say is that when we are on top, as we were in the first half, we've got to put teams, we've got to put these games out of reach of the other teams, and we don't seem to do that when we're on top, and that's just like Saturday. That was our downfall. We just need to do better in that department. But I thought we played very well, actually.
Can't disagree, and I know you're going to say the same, Ted, aren't you, mate?
Well, yeah, Gal, I said it on. I mean, if you'd have said to me at half time that we was going to lose that game 3-0, I said you're off your rocker. Because I've got to be honest, that is the best first half away from home, performance that I've seen all season. Well, we was totally dominant. I've got to agree. I don't like starting a show like this, but I do agree with George. At the end of the day, it
Joey,
just
don't get carried away. Don't get-
it won't happen again. But thank God Pat ain't here, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's why I said
But
that.
no, the bottom line of it is we, whilst our football was really good, and I thought we was a dominant team in the first half, we wasn't clinical enough. And that's at the end of the day, we all know and understand in football matches, if you're not clinical down one end and putting the ball away when you're on top like that, there's always going to be a chance coming the opposite way, which you know is going to finish up in the back of the net. I mean, even in the second half, there was one that Fleming headed that was headed off the line. I think it was only 1-0 at the time, or you know. So again, we wasn't bad, but the goals. I think what makes it feel worse is the fact that obviously we lost 3-0, but some of the goals were not great. That we, you know, in the sense of defensive wise, like the second one, he should never have been allowed to keep. Oh, excuse me, keep going across the penalty area like that. And someone should have got a tackle in or pushed him back. And then the last one was a schoolboy error, wasn't it? Without a doubt, you know, you never let the ball bounce like that. And Cresswell, bless him, got him in no man's land, finished up by George Long doing the same. So, but look, this time of year, you've got to take the positives out of every game if you can. And all I say, I come back to what I started with. That was the best first half performance Millwall's put in away from home all season for me.
Here's a question though. People are saying, bring back Bart, bring back Hutchinson, blah. Would you do this? Would you do it?
I think. Can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about two. I thought Long let them. A couple of them goals were a little bit easy goals compared to what Bart might have saved, if I'm honest. And that's no disrespect to George Long. I think it just looked like I thought Bart could have got to some of them better than he could. Hutchinson, I think Hutchinson is such a good player for us that I would nearly always want to accommodate him. I don't know what the other guys think.
I agree with Hutchinson. The only thing with the Long one, Long as a goalkeeper, sometimes you get caught out to look like, oh, you should have saved that. When you look at that second goal in particular, where I think the defence was more to blame because they allowed him to go across. But when he got his shot off, I don't think Long could see that at all because there was about 3 Millwall players sort of converging on the bloke, and somehow Pritchard gets a shot off at him, and before he knows it, it's on top of him, you know. And it may well have looked soft, if you know what I mean. Yes, I know Bart, and people quite rightly will point out that Bart would probably have stuck his hand out like Long did and saved it because that is Bart. He is a good shot stopper. There's no doubt about it. But you have to look at the whole game of a goalkeeper today, I'm afraid, and George Long, they seem to have confidence in him, whereas we all know when he made the change, it looked like the defence, certainly in passing back to Bart, which is such a big part of the game now, they seem to have lost confidence in him because we know Bart is not as good with his feet as Long. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg, really. Do you put the shot stopper in, or do you put the guy that helps the way that the team play? I know it's strange because us old fossils all want to think a goalkeeper about saving, not playing, but that's today's game, isn't it?
Stan, do you think the same?
Stan?
I mean, yeah. So I didn't. Well, no, I mean, you see, I mean, it's funny you say that about George Long and being able to kick the ball out and one thing and another, because they've got to be good with their feet, and that's the way that the game is, and that's very true. I mean, I was reading something the other day that, for example, Johan Cruyff took the view that when people start talking about the goalkeeper, as far as he was concerned, that was a fifth defender because, you know, his main part of his job now in the game today was the fact that you had to clear the ball with your feet. You know, that was the way he looked at it. But no, I don't. I mean, you see, this is what always concerns me. I mean, we played Preston the other week and we won the game and whatever. And then all of a sudden we get beat, and all of a sudden people are saying, "Oh, well, should we have brought him back? And should we have brought him back?" Well, why? You know, I mean, for me, the goalkeeper. I mean, it's his first sort of full season this season so far, and the reality is he's going to make a few mistakes. I'm not saying that was a mistake, but that's what will happen because that's just the way it is, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. All you've got to hope for is he don't do it too many times. But you know, and to me, Hutchinson's a quality defender and all the rest of it. And there's no argument with that, right? But all said and done, I just think that, the guy that's sitting in that position today, so far, he's done okay. All right, people will say, well, Hutchinson's a better defender. Well, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. But, why should we keep changing it? I mean, let get Hutchinson to earn the right to get back in there, rather than, I'm not saying he does, but rather than people
Well,
just expecting he's going to walk in.
the
That's my view.
Hutchinson Cresswell one's a tricky one in the sense that Cresswell's a young lad and he's in the side and he's had some good games. And I thought he played pretty well first half and that.
Yeah.
And I don't think he done
so did
too
I.
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the second half, again, people might look at I think it was the first goal where it came off him and then hit the Sunderland player and he got past him. But at the end of the day, that Sunderland player turned around 2 or 3 Millwall players before the ball got to Cresswell. Cresswell was actually sweeping up behind them. So, and but the trouble is the last one was a painful schoolboy error because he let the ball bounce and it went over his head. So it looks bad. But, we all know that Hutchinson would probably never have got himself in that position. He would have made it. And he is, as we all know, out of the two of them at the moment, the stronger defender through his experience. And, a fully fit Hutchinson and a Hutchinson on the top of his game is by far our best defender. And that's the dilemma that Rowett has. Does he, leave out the young lad who's made one or two errors?
Ted, Cresswell don't let anybody down, though, does he? He hasn't let us down.
No,
I think he's...
no, I'm not. I mean, it's purely looking at the standard of performance, if you like, George. And I fully accept that his standard of performance will not be as high as Hutchinson because he's not got the experience of Hutchinson.
No, of course.
But it's not to say that in his day he won't be like Hutchinson when he gets there, because I think he will be. I think he's a good lad. I think he's, he's been sort of pressed into Championship football for the season. And he's a bit like Ballard last year. He's doing a fine job when he's playing. It's just whether you think that Hutchinson brings you that bit more experience and, at the end of the day, you're the manager, so you've got to decide what you believe is your strongest team, especially not so much now. There's a lot of games coming up, so anything could happen. Cresswell, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but could get injured on Saturday, and then thankfully we'll have actually, all them sort of scenarios are still to play away at because we've got a long way to go in this season. But I think both Hutchinson and Bart both bring experience into the team, and personally, it wouldn't bother me if they was both starting, obviously. But at the end of the day, off of a result like that, I think it's hard. It was a harsh result. They shouldn't have lost 3-0, and it'd be harsh to drop people off the back of that.
I agree. Well, on that note, we'll take a break there and listen to our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by family business G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham in Kent. They are Millwall fans too. They've been Honda dealers for over 50 years. At G&M Motors Gravesend, you can purchase a new Honda. At both Gravesend and Meopham, they have a combined range of over 150 quality used cars and ex-demonstrators to suit all budgets and lifestyles. They also offer a comprehensive range of repair and maintenance services to ensure your vehicle stays reliable, safe, and retains a higher value with trust. G&M Motors, Gravesend and Meopham are dear friends of the Julians family. From Lenny to Debbie, and also our Millwall Fan Show.
I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team with Stan Godwin, George Lampy and Ted Robinson. We are most grateful to our sponsor, G&M Motors, who are celebrating 50 years of trading this year. So, as England are doing so well in the World Cup, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to have a very small discussion. Got 3 quick-fire questions for the panel before we go on and talk to our guest. George, you're first. What has been your opinion of our performances so far?
Well, I think they've been very good, actually, all except the middle one. But
but George, I think let me just say something now. Before they got to the round of 16, USA didn't concede a goal.
Yeah,
so was it really that bad?
No, yes, that's right. They're a much better team and evolving really well. I think a lot of these teams. I think they're a little bit like Millwall sometimes. The England team, they can be up and they can be down. But I think generally, as English supporters, we've always wanted to go into these World Cups, being thought of as one of the major teams in the competition. And I have to say that under Southgate, who I've never been a great big fan of, I think because he played for Crystal Palace, I just think that he's done really well for England, and we go to these competitions now, and I think people expect England to get, pretty far in the competitions, and I can't fault him, and I can't fault the team, and we seem to have some marvellous young players. So, full marks to England. I really enjoy us getting to tournaments these days.
Excellent, Ted. Your one. Who has been your standout player?
That's just an awkward one because I'm going to maybe surprise people. I'm not going to go with one of the forwards and that because although I think Phil Foden's a special talent and we all know what Harry Kane can do, and Saka the same, the young lad who's come through and been playing well. And you can mention Marcus Rashford from the other game. But I think the guy, well, there's two. I've got to say two, Gal. Harry Maguire went into this tournament with everybody baying for blood about him, saying he's not worth it, he shouldn't be in the side and he shouldn't be playing and whatever. And he has hardly put a foot wrong since he come in. And especially against the America game where he was my man of the match. And I thought for a guy who was looking pretty poor playing for Manchester United to come out and get into the biggest stage in football and start playing the way he's done, I think he's been exceptional. But I'm going to give my standout player to a guy who's come in the last couple of games and another one who's not a fan's favourite by any stretch of the imagination. But I think a lot of what's happened in the last couple of games has been down to Henderson coming into the side. He was the vocal noise around the team and organising and screaming and shouting when we played Wales and drove us on. And then I thought the other night he was outstanding against Senegal. I mean, he kept it with a goal. But he's one of them guys that does all the unsung work, if you know what I mean. He does, and you can tell that the rest of the team respond to him. He's the leader of that team. It's not Harry Kane. He's the leader out there, showing people and getting people playing. So I think Henderson will be my standout so far, and I hope he continues it more than hope that he continues that form against France, because I would just love us to beat France.
Don't think you're the only one there, Stan. Ted. Stan, do you think we'll beat the French, and can we go all the way?
Well, we're perfectly capable of beating the French. I mean, I've got absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, I read a quote today on Carl Walker when he was saying things like, well, we're actually playing the French team, not Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah.
Right? You look at it, I mean, Mbappe's clearly a great player. I mean, there's no argument about that, right? But he's been doing things in the previous games. Well, no, England ain't going to let him do that. Right? No. He ain't going to be having a run at the place.
And we're not going to give him as much space as the thingies did the other night, did we?
Yeah, that's right. That ain't going to happen. So I've got absolutely for me, I can honestly say this: there's not one team in this World Cup so far that's left that, in my opinion, I'd think to myself, "Oh, I wish we weren't playing them or they got knocked out." I don't fear any team. We're capable on our day of winning the game, and the reason for that is, apart from having good players and all the rest of it, and you get your fair slice of luck and them sort of things. But I cannot get, and I said this to Jules the other day, right? I can't think of a better manager to be in charge of England at this particular moment in time than Gareth Southgate, because he's so far, like he did in the Euros, and then he done in the previous World Cup, all the decisions he made were the correct decisions, right? And and if we win on Saturday, which I'm confident we're going to do that. I'll be interested to hear all these people to keep going about, we've got to get rid of Southgate and all of that. On what grounds? I mean, at the moment, they haven't got an argument, in my view, because in the games that matter, the guy has delivered. And I'm confident that we can beat France, same way that I'm confident we can beat anybody else.
Brilliant. Right.
Well, we'll say quickly, Gal.
Sorry, go on.
So what I was going to say quickly, Gal, is we all think about the opposition, don't you think the French are feeling exactly the same about playing us?
Oh, exactly.
We might look at Mbappe and say, how many of our players are they looking at saying the same thing? You know, even the players that we got on the bench, they'd be worried about coming on. So, as Stan quite rightly said, we beat anyone, mate.
Can I just say this, Gal, right? And I tell you what it puts me in the mind of, and it's a long time ago now, but to some extent I can understand it. When England won the World Cup in '66, the team they played in the semi-final was Portugal and Eusebio. At that time, Eusebio was considered the world's best footballer.
Yep.
Right? He ended up finishing the World Cup with the highest amount of goals. I mean, he dragged North Korea out of the quarter-final. And because, the man, not just in the World Cup, but even in Europe, right? And what happened was at that time, we had Nobby Stiles mark him, and he neutered him. Now, when I say neutered, he weren't knocking him up in the air every 5 minutes, but the game was a different game then, admittedly. But what I'm saying is, everybody said, "Oh, Eusebio this and Eusebio that." The only time he got near the ball that night was when they had a penalty and he put it in. Other than that, he was not nondescript.
Didn't get a touch.
No, that's right. Now, what I'm saying is, the same sort of job can be done on Saturday against what's his name? Mbappe. Yeah, but it can be done.
Yeah. Brilliant, guys. Well, we'll take a break there and bring our guest on this evening. But before we do, we listen to Debbie Julians and Harvey Brown talking about the Lions Food Hub.
Let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need your support. If you can help, and you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation at Banquet, that is BANKUET, you will find them online. Insert www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub into your browser. I'll say that again. www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub. And the Lions Food Hub is all one word. On match days, you can make food and toiletry donations at the Lions Food Hub, which is opposite the 1885 bar at the Cold Blow Lane end of the ground. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via the Lions Food Hub Twitter or Facebook sites.
I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Stan Godwin, Ted Robinson and George Lampy. Our guest this evening is well known to Millwall fans. He has almost global notoriety. He began life at the Middlesex Hospital in Marylebone, London, and after spending a short time north of the river, he grew up on a Ledbury estate in Peckham, which is just a stone's throw away from the Old Kent Road. While the den was not far away and became a feature of his life, he has brought a book out to the fore recently, and I can say it is well worth a read, and a great stocking filler for any Millwall fan. It is, of course, The Lion of London Bridge, Roy Larner. Welcome, Roy. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, it's good evening, everyone.
Hello, Roy.
Evening, Roy.
All right, Roy. All right.
Good, buddy. Roy, great to have you on the show. Before the panel speak to you, please tell us how the book came about. Who else has been involved in the production of it?
Book came about. I had 3 different authors approached me just after the 5th anniversary, back in June. But there was a ghostwriter called Dean Rinaldi that I decided to go with on the book because he was more interested in just about that night and the after effects. And I'm glad I did in the end because he seemed to have wrote it quite well. And it's all about just contact me. He's been trying to contact me for a couple of years to do this. So I'm glad I went with him after the 5th anniversary.
Excellent. So I'll hand you over to the panel and Stan, go first.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, Roy, how you doing, mate? All right.
Evening, Stan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. And I have to say, all the better for hearing you. Right, I want to know, mate, is what was your earliest memory of watching Millwall?
My earliest memory, as I say, I've lived a stone's throw away from the ground. Probably probably about 8 to 9 years old. We used to go up to the old Jews Hill, which was the old disused ground track.
Yeah, I
next
remember.
to the old, So we started going up there because we didn't have much money them days. We used to watch about 3/4 of the ground. But my first Millwall game was probably about the 1981 season onwards. I started going Millwall.
Right,
About 1981, yeah.
Evening, Royce. Ted here, mate.
Hello, Ted.
All right, mate. Following on from that, what was your most memorable Millwall game? Now, think carefully, Roy, because we all know it tends to be the same game from everyone. But go on, we'll see if you can vary, mate.
I mean, there's loads things. I mean, even like Lincoln away, I think it was 1984, was it, when we won the, I can't remember the name of the trophy then days.
Strange name.
But I mean, I think the old City game that made us go into the old First Division was a good all over game. That bank holiday was a good 1-0 win up in Hull, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the bit you're supposed to end with, Roy, and any win against Leeds.
Well, any win against Leeds is good, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Mate.
Yeah, all for different reasons. I suppose the old City one was because we did go up.
Yeah,
we won it that day.
Definitely.
Yeah,
of course we did.
I think I remember. And for
Hi, Roy.
Hello.
Hi, Roy. It's George here, mate. My question's a bit longer than this. After that fateful night on the 3rd of June 2017 at the Black and the Ball, where you were stabbed, and I'm just saying this so people can hear this. I mean, where you were stabbed 8 times, saving dozens of patrons, giving them the time to escape from the pub. You began your road to recovery from the injuries, including the ones that affected you mentally, of course, if anyone went through that. Yeah. There was one account that you give to the press where you told the democratically reported service, who I think they're called, after the attack, I used to think that all Muslims were terrorists, and who wouldn't blame you for that, really. But then you were invited to a mosque, and I went in there, met people, and I realised that there's good and evil in everybody, and that must have been a great step forward for you, Roy, after what you had gone through.
It was another step forward. I mean, after the attack, I mean, what you got to think about is you had 3 crazy terrorists stabbing you. They're just killing people. All I could see was, I mean, as you said, there was like Muslims with beards, and it did affect me for quite a while after. If I see like a couple of groups of whether they're Muslims or not, but people have beards, things like that. I just used to cross the road thinking it's a mental side of it that affected me for quite a while. I mean, Muslims, terrorists, I don't know. I mean, it's something that I probably said after, because I've been nearly killed by 3 crazed Muslims that wanted to kill me. I mean, obviously it did affect me. I mean, sometimes you've got to mention words where could get you in trouble, more in trouble than what you're actually like trying to point out. But I went to the mosque.
Fact that you went to the mosque and they obviously were kind to you, and you saw that there was all different sides to people.
Oh, I could ask for a better day. I mean, they made me very welcome. They tried to explain about how the Muslims work, and they tried to. I mean, it's a minority. It's minority in every situation.
Of course it is,
It'll always still be there, I reckon, and it'll always still go on around the world. Yeah. But it made me feel mentally like a bit more relaxed and different approach to them, I suppose.
Well, that's great. That's a great step forward. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
Well, I'm interested in the mental side of it, like you say, because I mean, I don't suppose you could ever put that situation that occurred out of your mind, and that's understandable because of the situation. Very strange thing about that, Roy. I was actually in that pub you was in a week before that, and it just sort of brought it home to me when I've read everything that happened with yourself and that, and I thought, God Almighty, what a situation to be in. But had the mental side of it, mate, and how you've sort of tried to deal with it, is it just a case of sort of accepting that it's happened and then trying to, and what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to just cope
blanket
with
or.
it.
I mean, you've just got to cope to it. I mean, I was let down. I mean, the mental side of it. I mean, we got to think about. I was close to death after that. I should have had more help offered to me, but I did.
Yeah.
It did take a few years to get through it. Even people around you didn't trust anyone. It just affects you. You just want to lock yourself away. But I finally got through it all. I still take day by day. I don't go too far ahead. But it does take time to heal these things. Whether permanently it will, I don't think so. But we're on the right road of recovery at the moment, which is good.
Well, thank God for that, mate.
Well, I've just got a quick question, and you don't have to ask if you don't want to. How did it stop, if you don't mind me asking? So obviously they've come in, they've done what they're doing, you've said what you said, and you put yourself in the way. How did it stop?
How did it stop?
Yeah,
well, after 3 of them were on me, I just started. I just had to run and get out of there eventually. Yeah. Well, try to run. I mean, I was being blood pouring for me. I did. There was a door open at the back. Eventually, I got around there to get out of it. I mean, we've been fighting for about 30 seconds. I mean, I was losing, like, if I did another 5 seconds, I would have probably been dead. But I did get out of there. I did go out to the main road, started knocking on pub doors, and even an ambulance drove away. I was knocking on the window, an ambulance car drove away from me because, I don't know, he didn't know who I was. And luckily, within 10, after he did, I run out of there after about a minute, if that. The armed police turned around, 3 cars of them, and shot him in front of me, which is another moment that I'll never forget. Yeah, I mean, I was lucky the police cars come at that time. I mean, I can't knock them for what they did, and they took me straight to hospital, so in a police car.
Okay, so it wasn't even an ambulance, right? It was a police car.
Before they come, there was an ambulance looking for. It was only the only ambulance that was about because it must have been the first call. It was looking for the road, but I see it. I banged on the window, but I mean, obviously, he wouldn't open the window and just drove on. So far as they're not allowed to open the doors or windows, I suppose. But after that, I just saw like my body just like collapsed until seconds later, the 4x4s drove round and the armed police shooting them.
So you saw that bit as well?
Yeah, I saw one of them being shot. Yeah.
Blimey.
Which as I said at the time, was probably one of the best things I see at the night because, I mean, obviously, another 5-10 seconds, I'd have probably been attacked again.
Fair enough. Sorry, Stan.
Roy, I mean, I'm listening to this very carefully to what you're saying. Now, I mean, you know, clearly it's an horrendous carry-on. I mean, I remember speaking to a mate of yours, Jane Jacob, because she was telling me, you know.
Oh yeah, Jane.
Yeah, that's right. Because she was telling me, like, because you'd obviously spoken to her or she'd found out, and we were talking about it, and you know, I sit here and I can only imagine what it was like. And I mean, I know the Borough Market fairly well because I'm going to go the pub I use, not that one. I go into the Market Portal with my cousin.
Yeah, the Market Portal, I know them quite well.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing that's got me with all of this, right?
Yeah.
And it really does my head in is the fact that, you know, you did what you did. You got the headlines and all the rest of it. But the way but the way that you've been treated by the establishment is absolutely outrageous.
It's disgusting.
Well, absolutely, and I'm trying to be polite because I know I'm on radio, but you know, I mean, because
it's unlike you, Stan.
Well, yeah, true, but
go.
But normally with these things is when you have these sorts of incidents, right? And then you know, you suddenly hear about, well, this copper this and this copper done that, or the ambulance driver this, that, and the other, right? And them names are known to you, sort of fairly quickly. But when they suddenly said, "Well, this bloke's getting this award and that," bloke, I thought to myself, "Well, who are these people? I'd never heard of. I mean, I didn't even know who they was. They were just names to people, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, there's something not right here now." So but and
I mean,
as
they've
I say,
got
the way
they've got the
treated is disgraceful.
They got the George Crosses and everything else, but their footage has never been shown. It's never been shown. My name was mentioned 4 times at an inquest, which I was, apart from the main people that died, that I was the most that come off worst, and probably done the most that night to save people's lives.
And as I understand it, Roy, when they had the service at Southwark Cathedral, right, sometime afterwards, you weren't even on the guest list.
No, I had to come there myself. Yeah, I had to come down myself, and then
absolutely outrageous, mate.
There is something, and even the 2 police officers that took me to the hospital probably saved my life. I couldn't say thank you to them personally, but I did pass the message along to their colleagues and that. But I would like to have shook their hand and said thank you, but it never was to be.
I mean, I remember when you. Can I just say this? I can remember, Roy, when the opening day of the season, there was yourself, or the opening home game. Let's put it that way. There was yourself and the other 3 guys was all brought onto the pitch, right? And quite rightly so, the ground raised to all of you. But after the game was over, you probably won't remember it in fairness, but after the game was over, I was coming out, I had my youngest grandson with me, right? And I bumped into you because Jane was there. And what happened was she took the photograph of me, you, and my grandson. And because that's gone on Facebook, and every now and again these things regurgitate. And so that photograph, I have to say, is one of the proudest possessions I possess, mate. I mean,
thank you. Thank you.
You all the honours that you get, you fully and utterly deserve, and the way you've been treated has been an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, I'd say thanks for that comments, but I just got to keep my head up high and not go backwards in life. Just keep going forward.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'll tell you what, Roy, they can keep their St George Crosses and whatever. If you've had a beer produced in your honour, that to me is the highest accolade anyway.
That's right, mate.
I've got to tell you, mate, that is brilliant.
Well, they might even rename the bar, Roy, that you was in, the Roy Liner Bar or something like that. You know what I mean?
That'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
The beer coming back with, I think it was Frequency Beers from Sweden, who got a connection with Tim V from Sham 69.
Oh, yeah, Tim, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they got a band over there as well. But they're part-time. They produce the beer and their thing, so they've done a keg of it. I think they made about 200 bottles. And we're in Sweden.
What do they call it, Roy?
FU on Millwall.
I've got to have a bottle of that.
Is it still around?
I don't think so. I think Frequency Beers, because of the COVID, I did try and contact them, but I'm still trying to contact them because they're based in Sweden. There's a thing about getting stuff over to England. It's something about Swedish. You can't get beers out there or something. It's hard for some reason. So they made about 200 bottles to 300 bottles, and I think they got a bar in there where they produced a beer, and I think a lot of it was sold there. All I got was a couple of bottles, and I never.
So you got a taste. You got a taste.
I never opened them. I've never opened them. So.
Have you not?
Nah. I just kept them as a souvenir now.
Don't tell me you walk around wearing them on your chest.
or like the old boss shoes with the old beer taps.
Talking about things being named after you, though, Roy, we've got a bit of a song.
It's a nice gesture for them. Yeah.
Someone's made a song about you as well, haven't they, Roy? Which we are about to listen to.
Yeah, old Arthur.
Yeah.
And that was another connection through Tim from Sham 69. Arthur just done that song out of his own. He just done it on his own. I met him once. I'm going to meet him hopefully at the Wigan game. And yeah, it was a nice gesture. And I think he's releasing it, I think, on the 9th of January.
Brilliant. Well, let's have a listen anyway.
Yeah, he's releasing it on
iTunes. That's what he did. Roy Larner, he's the line of London Bridge. The line of London Bridge.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, nice. It was a nice song. I've listened to that song so many times afterwards, with my dark days, just listening to the words of it.
That's brilliant.
Roy, when you go to Millwall, do they look after you? You know, do they treat you well, or?
Only from the performances.
All right, they don't give you, they haven't give you any.
After the back, I spoke to John for about half hour one day, because I think he used to be in the old the army over there years ago.
That's right.
Yeah, I had a good chat with him. But they've given me a season ticket for the last 5 years, so
that's nice.
They've got that, mate. And they said any help, they can help us with. Steve said that any time you can always call, like ask any time anything. If there's anything you need, we'll see what we can do. Yeah, so they've looked after us, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I've got to tell you, Roy, obviously it was a horrendous thing that happened to you, but having a beer named or done in your honour, having a song made for you, and now you got a book out, mate. I tell you, life ain't that bad, is it?
No, life ain't that bad. There was one thing after the attack that another company left a load of bottles of beer, and that was ex-Amster. I won't say what it's a site. They left a box of. They left 6 bottles of beer they produced, and also 200 condoms in case I need them.
You're getting it coming from all areas.
Oh, brilliant. That's
they sent them to Millwall. They left them at the reception, so that was quite good. Mickey was good to us after the chair attack. Mickey, fan on the board.
Yeah.
At the time, Mickey Simpson, he looked after us quite well as well. So.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Roy, go on, George. Sorry, mate.
No. I was just going to say, without prying into your business too much, but did you get compensated for the bravery? Not, I suppose money-wise, I'm talking about for your bravery.
I've never even got recognition for the bravery. I mean, the compensation, you put your compensation in. Right. I mean, I'm not perfect. I've got a minor criminal record, and that's what has affected me with the compensation.
Right.
But I'm still trying to fight for it. And I think someone's going to do a petition again after the new year to try and see what happens, whether I get something or not. I mean, if it happens, it happens. It'd be nice. If it doesn't, I ain't going to sit there and worry. I mean, I've worried too much over the last 5 years. I think I just got to get on with life. Yeah.
That, Roy, is another disgrace. The fact that you're being discriminated because of what's happened in your past for the moment of when hundreds of people were grateful that you was there. Somebody somewhere needs their arse kicked for that, mate.
I mean, 2 years after, there was another terror attack on London Bridge. I think there was a load of people out on day release. A couple of people died. Yeah. But the person out on day release, I mean, obviously he got pardoned, and I think some of them got compensation. So, I mean, I don't know what it is. You've got to keep trying and just keep trying.
I mean, you're right, Roy. I mean, the thing about the thing that you talked about with that other incident, right?
Yeah.
And Ad was up there. I mean, again, it was another horrendous thing. But the actual guy who got pardoned, he was up there because he'd actually committed murder. Right?
Murder for disabled, underage 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, I mean that was the crime that he done. Now, and I remember at the time when it happened, and they said,
pardon is rare in this country, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, and I thought to myself at the time, well, when all the dust is settled and all this, right?
Yeah.
Something will happen, right? And because it did, and it, and that was the thing. So but in relationship to this business about criminal records and all the rest of it, I mean, what George, the point he made was correct. If you hadn't done what you done, there are people walking around now, but probably would have been brown bread, right?
There's more people would have been dead that night.
And what gets me with this argument, I mean, I said to somebody one day, I said, that happened. I said, you could have had one of the great train. I mean, I know they're a lot older, but I mean, they'd have been a lot younger. I said, you could have had one of the great train robbers sitting in there and done something. But when you went in the pub, you didn't think when you was going into the pub, did you? Like anybody else wouldn't do. That you was going to go in there, and within sort of, I don't know, an hour or whatever, you're then fighting for your life because of a load of lunatics. I mean, who plans all that? I mean, it's just nonsense.
And as you say, 2 weeks before that was the playoff final, so there was a few more Mill supporters down there that night as well.
I mean, it's just, but that's unfortunately that's the establishment in this country.
Yeah, I've got to be in my head's up high. That I've done something good in life.
No, that's right, mate. You've got nothing to say.
You did, Roy.
Yeah. Let me say to you, Roy. Sorry, Gal, to say this. Let me say to you, Roy. No one likes us, but we love you and we thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Agree.
And the support all around the country from football fans, even West Ham and things like that. It was just quite a lot of West Ham fans have been praising us as well, which is good.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it is indeed. Well done.
It's brilliant. So, Roy, you mentioned the Wigan game at the weekend. A quick prediction on that one?
I reckon 3 or 4-1. I'll go for 3-1.
Great. Guys, don't forget Roy's book. We've already spoke about The Lion of London Bridge. It is available in paperback, £11, 99p on Amazon Kindle. Also, Roy, what's happening with your books on Saturday? Are you about I believe?
Yes, I'm going to do a book signing on Saturday in the Stanley Arms in South Park Road.
Excellent. Well, if you want to get a book and get it signed by Roy, get yourself down there. Roy, absolute pleasure. And not the best subjects to be speaking about, as we all know. But Roy, we are proud of you. We are proud of what you've done and saving those people's lives. And from all of us on the show, we thank you for what you've done.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Roy. Much appreciated.
Roy.
We look forward to you returning, and hopefully you'll get your
soon.
Yeah, and and all the best in securing your compensation, Roy, and good luck with your book sales. And all the best, Roy. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck.
Cheers, Roy.
Thank you.
See you, Roy.
We'll take a break there and listen to the Fantastic Fanatics.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me on the No One Likes Us Talking team of Stan Godwin, Ted Robinson and George Lampy. With Christmas a mere 30 days, I think that's right, maybe less, why not spend on gifts through Fantastic Fanatics site and give a bonus to the Millwall Community Trust? It will help them deliver the very many different activities that they do across all age groups. I just made reference to the Millwall Community Trust, and they have been in the national media the last few days. And Sean Daley, the CEO of Millwall Community Trust, has been speaking to Art Eamon about it.
I've managed to catch up with probably one of the most busiest community trust CEOs in the United Kingdom, Sean Daley. Sean, what's going on?
I'm good. How are you, Eamon?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to be here, and all I keep seeing and hearing is stuff going on in the community. The EFL launching their Together Supporting Communities campaign, and the event at the Den, and it's on this and it's on that. Tell us how this is all come about?
Well, the EFL contacted us not long ago to sort of like highlight some of our programmes. I don't know if you know that when they do the highlights now, the EFL on a Saturday, they want to sort of like highlight community schemes and community trusts and what they do. So what they've done is they've gone out to a few trusts already and highlighted their walking football, their sports participation and different things like that. So they came to us and said, look, you know, what sort of things are you looking to highlight as your part of your programme? So we sort of said, like, you know, we'd look at something like maybe our chef's programme, you know, the Kick and Cook.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we've got another club that's doing something very similar. One of the players is involved in it. We highlighted something else, but they sort of said, yeah, we got that in the pipeline for another club and that. So we said, well, one of the things we're looking at definitely during over the Christmas period is the cost of living crisis and like how can we support our local community. Not only have we got the food bank, but how can we do things around like, you know, the coffee morning that we have here that people can come in, have a coffee, have a discussion with people, use the area, use the Wi-Fi. They sort of said, well, that's the sort of thing we want to launch as an organisation. You know, we want to show that all EFL clubs are trying to support the cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
So could we do the launch at Millwall's? So we said, yeah, there's no problem. So that was all set up. There was people that come on the coffee morning were there. Billy Mitchell came there. Glenn Murray came there, the ex-player that played at Brighton came. And some of our walking football. And it was just really a discussion about what's the issues in the next couple of months that are going to hamper people. Christmas coming up, the cost of living, electric bills, heating, and what a resource the club have offered on a Wednesday where people can just get a break away from their norm to come in, have a coffee, sit in the warm, use the Wi-Fi and just have a chat with people. And that's really how it come about. And then they did the launch there and I think they're going to try and roll it out at all 72 clubs.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But there is so much that is going on for the community at Millwall. It just doesn't stop. I mean, I picked up yesterday the Player Pathway initiative, and you're not charging kids for the period from now over Christmas to do that. The Food Hub, Donate a Coat, wider food bank support. The weekly coffee morning seems to be flying. How are you able to make this level of support?
Well, I think, Eamon, what we are is, you know, and I've said it from the word go, I'm quite in a privileged way as an organisation. You know, we're a professional football club. Any profit that we make that we put back into the community, times are going to be hard for the people that participate on our programmes. And we just made a decision that, you know, the Player Pathway is very cheap anyway. You're getting good coaching for £5 a session. Well, you know, instead of those parents having to worry about whether they come to the Player Pathway or whether they have Christmas lunch or whatever, so well, let's just absorb the cost of it. So it makes it easy for them for the next 2-3 weeks. They don't have to pay for that at all. They can use that money to have a good Christmas, etc.
Yeah.
But it's always down to, you know, I'm well supported by the community. I'm supported by the fans. The club support me very well. And, you know, our big thing is if we do make any funding, we put it back into the community in some way. And that's what a community trust should be about. It's not about making a profit. It's about, yes, washing our face and making sure that all the bills and everything else is covered and the staff are covered. Yeah. Any surplus that we've got, let's put it back into the community to support them. That's what we're there for.
And there's lots of volunteers in the process as well. I understand that, Sean, and that makes a big difference. And what a difference they do make. It's absolutely incredible. Just going on from there, you also mentioned that tickets being pushed out for people to come to games. How's that been going down?
What we've looked at is supporting people that go to food banks, giving out some free tickets for them.
Yeah.
Entertainment, which football is probably bottom on certain people's lists, you know, with the cost of living crisis, etc. So we want to try and make it as easy as we can for people, you know, and if they want some tickets, and again, that's the club putting it through us, working with the food banks that we work all over Lewisham, Southwark and now into Kent. You know, if we can make the process and them having a good Christmas, coming to a game, etc. like that, we want to make it as easy as we can for people.
Fantastic as usual. I'm going to touch on Lucas Daley. Tell us about Lucas. And of course he featured on the ITV yesterday morning. where he looked completely at home with his glass of water. Tell us the story.
Yeah, so Lucas is my son. He's just turned 7 years old. So unfortunately last year we lost my wife's dad, so his granddad.
Yeah.
And they were very close, very, very close. And he spent his final days at a hospice in Greenwich.
Yeah.
And Lucas has had quite an attachment to the hospice, as he used to go and visit his granddad up there in the last few days. He decided this year that he's very much into reading and books and cartoons and different things. Like, he wanted to write his own book around a superhero, and he wrote this book, but he made a decision that this book was a children's book that he wrote, and he would donate all the money that was raised for it to the hospice. And he's raised roughly around about £1,000 through the book. And then ITV picked it up about 3 months ago and contacted my wife and said, look, we'd like to do a feature on him. And it sort of snowballed, really. They nominated him for an award. And yesterday he was invited down to ITV and he received the award, the Young Loneliness Champion Award, for his voluntary hours on support for certain things. He was under the understanding he was going down there for a tour, but no, he wasn't. He was going down to collect the award. So we're very proud of him, very proud. And of course, he didn't let himself down yesterday either, which was very good. Chewing sweets as he's doing the interview and then spilling water everywhere. But, you know, that's what 7-year-old kids do.
That's what they do. And I've seen him before in the executive lounge. He's an energetic young man. To say.
That's a nice word you put there, Eamon. That's quite a nice word. It's not the word I use.
Oh, well, that's fantastic news for you all, and particularly for Lucas. It was great he also got to speak to Billy Mitchell.
When we were informed, which we didn't tell him that he'd won the award, they asked him who he would like to give his award to. So we had to do it in a certain way. So, you know, who would you be interested in, Lucas? Who would you like to meet? But we couldn't tell him he'd won it. So he wanted some characters from Harry Potter. Right. Because he likes Harry Potter and that. And but they rang us ITV and said, look, we can't get anyone from Harry Potter. But what they did do, Warner Brothers sent him a Harry Potter case as if he was going to Hogwarts.
Lovely.
With all the stuff in it, like the wand and everything else. So they came back and said, look, is there any famous footballers that Lucas would be interested in meeting and giving the award? So we asked him again, you know, who's your favourite footballers? And he went, number 1's Billy Mitchell, number 2's Danny McNamara, and number 3's Messi. And anyone else? And he went, yeah, number 4's Ronaldo and number 5's Harry Kane. Okay, which one would you like to meet? And he went, Billy Mitchell. Well, I don't want to meet anyone else, just Billy Mitchell. So when we went back to ITV and said, look, he wants to meet Billy Mitchell, he knows Billy anyway, and the club were brilliant. The club, you know, set it all up for Billy to do like a Zoom with him.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There's a bit of pride, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's great for the club, Eamon. You know, it's great for the club to be gaining all. You know, the sort of things we do that we don't get acknowledged for.
Yeah.
I met Adam Barrett yesterday, just in talking, and we were just having a conversation. And Adam said to me, he just said, like, we'd like to thank you for all the work your community trust does. You know, you're up against it with the name and that, but like, you do so much in the community, and the players and the management, you know, want to thank all your staff for what you do.
And that's the least that any of us can do. If we can help out as well, and there's people that want to help out, I'm sure you'd love to hear from them as well, Sean.
We're not here to get people to thank us. We're here to serve that community. That's why we made some decisions this year. What we're going to do is to make it easier for certain people. You know, donate a coat. We'll send them over to a company called Wrap Up London, and they'll give them out not just to people on the street and homeless. They will give it to families that may need just a coat.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be giving out the hampers again this year. Yeah. We'll work with Ella and Kelly to get them out to certain families over Christmas, because that's what our community needs, and we're privileged in a place where we can support them.
You can. And have you got enough runners in that Santa's Dash?
No, I haven't. I need more. So if we can get any people out, if they can phone me, I'm taking numbers right up to Friday night or even Saturday morning. So I'm sure there's a few presenters in your
Well, Stan's talking about
Yeah.
walking it, so I'm sure he'll be along.
I haven't seen his application or
Have you not?
email, so if we could chase that up, please.
Chase that up. And what telephone number ought they phone you on?
079
Yeah.
733
Yeah.
24987.
Say that again, Sean.
079 733 24987. It's all for charity.
Yeah, it is. Makes a big difference, I know. Hopefully Stan will be there and doing what he needs to do.
Shall I get the Santa outfit delivered to you?
Yeah. Don't worry. You can hear all about it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Absolutely brilliant. We'll make it happen one way or another. And great
Thanks
news.
very much, Amy.
Great news, my friend.
Cheers, Eamon and Sean. Absolutely superb. Keep up the great work and good luck, Lucas. Let's hear from Ellis Barr. Hope you're enjoying the World Cup. Keep us posted on what you're up to, Ellis.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall.
Thanks, Ellis. Jeff Burnige has been out and about looking after the Lionesses again, and he posted this report for Maritime Radio.
This is Jeff Burnige reporting on Millwall Lionesses, and after last week's disappointing loss to Fulham, Lionesses manager Jack Wheeler, his task was to ensure Millwall started another run of league victories, and they duly delivered with a 6-0 pasting of AFC Acorns, a team based near Gatwick. The Lionesses have a strong squad of 19 or 20 players now, and Wheeler made 5 changes to his starting lineup from last week. One of these was new signing Shannon Drew, returning to the club after leaving in 2020, and she struck a hat-trick between the 39th and the 69th minutes. The scoring had been opened with midfield goal-scoring machine Millie Joyce making it 1-0 after 21 minutes. She then hit the bar the following minute and then a post on 29 minutes, but it remained 2-0 until the interval. Millie Connell made it 3 just after half-time, and then came Drew's second and third goals. The Lionesses always make full use of their bench, and 2 of the substitutes, midfielders Grace Seeley and Millie Penfold, both scored to make it 6-0. This maintained Millwall's 2-point lead at the top of the London and South East Regional League, with 2 games left before the Christmas break.
Thanks, Jeff. George, the Lionesses keep getting stronger. Do you think promotion's looming for them?
Well, I think they're going to be in with a good shout. I mean, I hear Jeff's reports every week because I tend to have to work on them. He was saying a little while ago that there were maybe 2 teams that were maybe a little bit ahead of Millwall in the rankings. But, I mean, they're sitting top of the league. They're 2 points clear. So I think, Jack Wheeler with the team has done really well here, actually. And the girls seem to be producing every single week. So, yeah, I think they're in with a real shout of going up, actually. Yeah.
Good. Ted, the under-21s come back from 3-1 down at half-time to secure a draw and keep up the pressure on Bristol City, who are currently top of their division. Do you think the 21s can catch the Robins?
Well, they certainly seem to be doing well. Just a quick one on the Lionesses. I think Shannon Drew's a very good re-signing, by the way. She's an excellent player, and she's already proved that with an hat-trick to start with, so that's good for them. But the under-21s, I've been really impressed with them this year. Kevin Nugent certainly got the boys playing. There's 1 or 2 of them coming, I think, coming through. Abdul Malik has been someone who we've been talking about for quite a while, seems to be having his best season for a while. He scored again the other day. It's always an awkward one because the boys have been fairly consistent, but more often than not, when you look at the under-21s, if a player's coming back from an injury, he goes in. So the team's never as settled as it could be. But they certainly seem to be pretty settled and playing consistently well. Disappointing to give 3 goals away, but they got no problems in scoring by the looks of it. Listen, I hope they can catch the Robins. I see no reason why not with the way their form's been so far this season. But it may change a little bit come the either side of January, where maybe one or two might go out on loan and that sort of thing. But fingers crossed for them. They're doing fantastic at the moment, and 10 out of 10 to Kevin Nugent at the moment.
Agreed. Stan, Lionesses and the under-21s both having strong seasons. Do you think this shows the strength in the Millwall brand is getting stronger and is starting to attract better players, etc.?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, if you take the Lionesses, right, and considering on what 3 or 4 years ago, certainly not much more than that, we was faced with the breakaway, and they had to start again. And I remember being on the show with Jeff when we was at Love Sport Radio, and when this issue became an issue, and he was explaining it all. I mean, he knows the history of these people, and how it all come about, and all the rest of it. But no, I mean, once they got started, I mean, each season they've gone on to get better and better, right? So and it's work in progress, and no, they're doing very well, and I think that they'll carry on, and I think that they'll suddenly scale the heights and go as far as they can go. So, well done. As for the under-21s, well, I mean, I was I was going to go on Monday, funny enough, because I was under the impression that the game was actually down at the Den. Right, because the other ones had been down at the Den, and I'd inquired about a ticket when we was down there for the friendly, and the guy said, "Oh no, the machine's not fitted up, but you're about to get them and all that." And I could have done it on. I said, "Can I do it over the phone?" He said, "Oh yeah, and all that." And because when I'm checking on the Monday morning to see where it is, I then find out it's at the training ground. So I was somewhat snookered. But anyway, I've been down to see the under-21s, and what Ted says about Kevin Nugent, they are playing really well, and they, I mean, and they're not, to be fair, not just them, but all the teams from what I've seen in the under-21 league that play a style of football, and know that they're doing really well, and so I think they will progress, and Ted makes the point, which is a good point, because some of them players will need, I think, to go out on loan, because that's, I think, the problem. Well, if you look at it now, because we often compare the under-21s of today of what the youth teams used to be like when Phil Coleman was playing them. I'm talking about the progression, South East counties and all that sort of stuff. Well, none of that exists no more. So really, they need to go out on loan, and if they can get out to at least the team in the National League, or in the second division, then all well and good, because that's where they need to go. Because I can't see. I mean, one or two of them might come in. I mean, Tyler Bury's been a bit of a one-off in the sense that he's sort of got himself established and whatever in a relatively short space of time. But no, I mean, it's all looking good for the under-21s, and and because now we're going to be in the process of rebuilding the training ground, so the facilities are going to be a lot better. And because it has to be said, one of the reasons it's a degree that we're playing catch up to some extent is because some years ago, and the club paid for it, they then decided to replace the academy to save money to turn it into a school of excellence. And because the consequence of that, the better players that we had at that point then left and went over to different academies. We're now catching up again, and hopefully we'll never make that mistake again, because that was a clanger of the first order. But no, it's all progressing very well, and it all looks well for the future.
Fingers crossed. So next up for the first team into the Lions Den is Wigan. Wigan have recently employed a new manager. That man is Kolo Toure, the ex-Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool centre-back, who was recently the first team coach over at Leicester. So he's got a bit of pedigree on the training ground as well. Will he have enough time to install his changes that he wants to make before bringing the new squad to the Den? Wigan currently third from bottom in the Championship relegation zone. Or will Millwall's current great home form be too much for the new manager to overcome? Ted, I'll go with you first on that one.
They're a strange kettle of fish, Wigan. They've won more games. Well, most of their points have come from away matches, believe it or not. They've won 4 games away from home. So, I mean, you could say by looking at that, you'd prefer to be playing them away, Millwall being away from them. But look, having seen the way we played in that first half against Sunderland, the only thing that was missing, there's a simple thing to say, was goals. If we're going to have any aspirations of being playoffs or perhaps even going further, we've got to be beating the likes of Wigan. But as we all know, the Championship's a difficult division. It don't matter who you're playing, you're in for a game, so they've got to be mentally right. They've got to bounce back from last week. I see no reason why not. And as per usual in this division, if we can get our noses in front, I think we could finish up with a comfortable day. Because when a new manager comes in, there's one or two things that happen. Sometimes the players lift themselves because they're trying to impress and whatever. Or the other thing is they're not quite ready for a new manager and they don't really see what the new manager's bringing in, if you know what I'm saying. So, going to say, difficult game, but I think we're going to win 2-0.
Stan?
Well, I think that, to be perfectly honest, I mean, if we've got aspirations of making the playoffs and promotion and, so on and so forth, then, teams like Wigan, especially at home, we have to beat them. It's as simple as that, because that's what, if you want promotion, they're the sort of teams that you have to see off. And, our own form's fairly good. Although it's rather ironic, as Ted says, they've won more games away from home, that lot, than they've done at their own ground. Whereas with us, it's the other way round. But anyway, no, I'm confident with their win. I think what will happen is initially now, I think the new manager's going to come into Wigan, try and stabilise it, and he's going to be wanting to argue or trying to get his team out of the bottom 3 as quick as he can get them out, and finish as high up as he can. I don't think he's got any sort of expectations of climbing the table and going in promotion. But we should beat them, and I'm confident we'll do that. And all well and good. And then I can come home then and sit back and watch England get into the semi-final of the World Cup. Won't be bad.
Well, let's hope. Stan, quick prediction on the end of that.
Oh, I think Millwall will win 3-1.
Cool, George.
Yes, I'm confident. A bit like Ted said, after the way we played Saturday, I know we didn't get the result, but I see us, being a very good team when we play at our best, and I can see us beating them quite easily, at least 2-0. And I'd just like to add, is anybody like me not surprised that the kickoff wasn't moved forward this Saturday?
I am, actually. I'm a little bit surprised. But someone said it's a lot to do with people that do work, and the 3 o'clock kickoffs, you do get more money through the door, and at a time like this, they want as much money through the door as possible. If they move it to 12:30, there might be certain people that can't get out of work, posties and stuff like that, delivery men, they might work until 1 o'clock. You move it to 12:12, they can't come. So that's a lot of what's got to do with it, I think. Fair enough. Right. I'll summarise. I think the typical Millwall banana skin. I hate playing teams at the bottom. We only ever play better when teams at the top come down. I'm going to say 2-0, but
you don't sound confident, Gal.
I don't. No. I don't. You've got everything now, haven't you? You've got a new manager. I was just on the back of a defeat, and it's a team in the bottom 3. You know what's going to happen.
Following on what I said, Gal, after what I said, they have had a manager for a little while, haven't they? You know what I mean? Not been playing games and whatever. So, just one quick one before we move on quickly. Did anyone see that thing about the kid from Shamrock Rovers that we're supposed to be getting in January?
I read it in the paper.
Yeah, is that a done deal?
I mean, it seems like it's a done deal. And what I wanted to say, I've read about this kid earlier in the season, and then I realised that Premier League sides were looking at him and whatever. So if that is right, and Millwall have got him, that's a great bit of business. He's a 19-year-old, and he looks something quite special. So
would he go in the under-21s first, or would he go straight to the first team?
I think they believe he's got the potential to go straight into the first team squad. If you've got the likes of, I believe Southampton was looking at him, and Wolves were looking at him. If teams like that are looking at him, he can't be a bad player. And I see a little bit of him because they played in the Champions League, and he looks a bit of a talent. and he looks like the sort of player that we might need with a bit of pace about him and whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised, Gal, if he comes over. You might see him play 1 or 2 games in the under 21s, but then he may well step up and you might find him on the bench, a bit like Tyler Bury, that sort of player.
Brilliant.
Sorry, I digest.
No, not at all. We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren talking about the aforementioned Millwall Community Trust.
The work of the Millwall Community Trust makes a big difference for people in Lewisham, Southwark and North Kent. Times are getting tougher, and to help them make a difference, you can help too, by making a donation. Give a one-off donation or a monthly amount. Your support is crucial in raising vital funds for their work, or by fundraising for them. If you are running, swimming, cycling, cooking, dancing, parachuting or anything else, why not do it for the Millwall Community Trust? Interested? Then either email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. I'll say that again. Email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. Thanks if you can.
Thanks, Bethany. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and with me I have the No One Likes a Talking team of Stan Godwin, Ted Robinson and George Lampy. If you can sponsor or donate in these tough times, it will help the Trust deliver its activities that support the whole community. We're all looking forward to the next game against Wigan at home, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for the Millwall fans.
The Millwall Community Trust have stated that we have all struggled this year with the cost of living rising at unprecedented rates. Therefore, this Christmas, we will run our player performance pathway completely free for December. If you've never been before and want to try it, now is your time to get in touch. Email Tim Sells at, and this is all small case, tsells@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I will say that again. tsells@millwallcommunity.org.uk or call 020 7740 0503. That is 020 7740 0503.
Thank God you never gave me that to read out.
Your one looks like War and Peace.
Oh, thank you very much, Eamon or Gary, whoever that was. That was brilliantly done, Stan. Anyway, next week, Eamon will host Debbie, Jeff, and I'm afraid you got me again. There will be a review of Millwall's game against Wigan, a couple of guests, and much more too. Don't miss it. Also, great news, the Lions store opened at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. The website was not ready to go, but the club is working tirelessly to have it relaunched at the earliest opportunity in order to allow fans to purchase goods online during the build-up to Christmas. Thank God for that. The Lions store opened with all stock available to the club at this time, which includes the free kits for this 2022-23 season and training wear, along with other selected items. Merchandise will initially be available at discounted rates as the club looks to recoup the significant losses caused by the recent events. It will be open between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. on weekdays. The Lions store will also be open before and after Saturday's visit of Wigan Athletic. Millwall are grateful to all supporters for their patience and understanding throughout this process.
Well done.
When it says recoup the money, does it mean they're going to put all the prices up? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah. The kits are double the price they was before the No, of course they're not. Just get up there and buy a few bits and pieces. That's what I can say.
You think yours was War in Peace, Ted? You were right. You heard from our sponsored Lionesses early on, Jade and Grace, at the beginning of the show. So why not sponsor a Lioness kit like us to help them get them back to where they belong? If you are an organisation, you can get fantastic exposure opportunities for your business, just like Victory Glove, goalkeeping gloves, Andy Rothery or Impetus Women's Football, Meg J or Lola. Thank you, I've been struggling with that one. Meg J or Lola Baxter, and as mentioned, ourselves. On top of seeing your name at the club website, you will be able to enjoy a range of benefits: signed shirt, meet your sponsored player, free invitations to a VIP day, a free season ticket to all O games, a presentation photo, kit sponsorship, and the price is £160 plus VAT, so it's not bad price. And to purchase, get in touch with email Kelly K Webster at millwallcommunity.org.uk, and that's all I have to say. And good night, everybody, and thank God that's over.
That wasn't as good as Stan's, George, but you tried.
Yeah. And he only done one address. He didn't do it a second time.
Dear, but if you do want to do that, I'll say it again for George. It's kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk. Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team bring reports from our games, both home and away, for the Lions and the Lionesses, and also updates on Millwall Community Matters 2 on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, social media sites, and all popular podcast sites too. That's it from me. Good night, Stan.
Good night.
Good night, Ted.
Good night, Gary.
Good night, George.
Good night, John Boy. He couldn't help that.
Oh, dear. And let's say good night to our listeners. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Take care, everyone.
Good night.